Phil Hellmuth is looking down at ace-jack offsuit. He is raised to $2,000, but he's up against Harlow with pocket eights. And Tony G, he's lurking, and he's not planning to stay quiet for long.
Action begins on Phil, ace-jack, raised to 2,000. Pocket pair for Russ.
Pot.
Raises to 7,200.
Harlow is the loose cannon in this game, which means he's an amateur who's been given $100,000 to play against 5 pros. Whatever he makes over $100,000, he gets to keep. Meanwhile, Tony G folded, but this is not the last time we see and hear of him this hand.
How much more do you have?
Hellmuth is fishing for information, trying to get a read on the delivery driver. Every second Harlow spends fumbling with his chips gives Phil little clues about how strong he really feels.
Phil calls and gives him the WWE stare down. Hellmuth off the top rope. The flop, 10-6 deuce, 3 clubs. Hellmuth checks the nut flush draw.
Harlow's ahead for now, but Phil's sitting there with 2 overcards, a nut flush draw, and about 27 different ways to ruin this man's whole poker career. If Harlow fires a bet here, things could get messy fast, because Hellmuth is definitely not folding this one soon. But Harlow decides to check it back to him.
The turn gives Russ a set. Hellmuth, chips in hand, leads out to 5,500.
Gotta take a chance sometime.
I'm supposed to think you're weak, right? Because you're talking?
I won't bet more than 9,000 on the river if you call.
I'm all in.
Russ Harlow, all in.
Hellmuth throws out a little feeler bet, just trying to stir the pot. But Harlow responds by setting the whole kitchen on fire. This is actually an incredible read from the delivery driver against arguably the best poker player of all time. Now Phil's got to decide if that nut flush draw is enough to pull him out of the flames, or if he's about to get roasted. He thinks for about 5 minutes and Tony G is starting to lose his patience.
So you potted it before the flop.
It's ridiculous.
What's ridiculous?
I mean, just make a decision, you know? Like, there's other people in the game, too. You're a professional player playing against a loose cannon. I mean...
No, I'm trying to make a decision for 43,000. Can you just shut the up? Call
You're
a
a
floor
professional
man.
player?
Call floor man.
You're insulting everyone. I mean, we're here, we want to play, too.
He's completely out of line here. So I
think he's completely out of line because he's been taking forever to make a decision. Against an amateur player coming in here as the best player in the world, taking 15 minutes to make a decision.
I haven't taken 15 minutes. You want to bet on that?
Well, you will.
You're
that's
so
why
out of
I'm
line.
talking about
You know,
it.
your etiquette's horrible. Stay out of this.
Gentlemen,
Stay out. Let's hear your ruling.
We're going to put you on the clock right now. You got a minute and 10 seconds.
That's your ruling?
Right.
I hope you're proud of yourself, Tony.
Story checks out.
Phil folds. And those are tears of joy.
If you're bluffing, I highly recommend showing.
Do you think Tony G was right to do this in the middle of a poker hand with $70,000 in the pot? Daniel Negreanu is looking down at 10-7 offsuit, but Seaver has raised to $1,300 with pocket fives, and Hashem has called with Jack 10 suited.
Uh-oh, this is Daniel's favorite hand, and it's actually gotten him into trouble in the big game before.
Re-raises on the button to 5,200.
He knows Seaver's range is wide and Hashem's flat is vulnerable. Even though it's his favorite hand, he's trying to play the players, not the cards. This raise is about letting them know that he's going to give them a hard time this hand if they decide to play along.
Scott Seaver is really hoping Daniel has an overpair so that he has the right implied odds to make this call.
Hashem folded, so heads up to the flop. King, deuce, queen. Seaver checks the best hand.
Negreanu knows Seaver could easily have king-queen here after raising and then calling Daniel's re-raise pre-flop. But why would he check? Daniel smells weakness, and that's usually when he gets curious.
He reps, betting 6,200.
Looks like Scott's gonna peel.
He calls.
Hashem wants his cards back.
6 of spades on the turn. Seaver checks.
Daniel still got just 10 high. This is one of the dangers of having a favorite hand.
Daniel does not look like he's about to check. After just calling the flop and checking the turn, Negreanu is probably putting Seaver on a draw or the weak pocket pair he does indeed have. He's thinking, if I apply the right pressure now, Seaver might just fold and give me all the money.
Daniel does fire that third barrel, making it 14,200 to go.
I could justify Scott's call on the flop, thinking maybe Daniel would shut down after one bet, but Daniel certainly hasn't shut down.
Seaver keeps it going. He calls.
Seaver's totally stationing Negreanu.
You mean like a calling station?
Exactly.
4 clubs on the river. Seaver checks.
Sick.
Daniel fires 36,000.
Seaver is capped, checked every street, and never repped strength. Daniel has nothing, but he knows Seaver is weak enough to fold. This is a masterclass.
Folds the winner.
Phew-wee.
He had me staring. I had my favorite hand. You know what that is?
10-7?
7 of diamonds and 10 of clubs specifically. Can't believe I got away with a bluff.
Daniel Negreanu kicks things off with Queen Jack offsuit. He is raised to $2,800, but is up against Tony G with Ace King offsuit.
Action folds over to Tony G, who makes the call.
2 strong hands going into the flop.
Queen 6 Jack.
King of the world.
Check by Tony G.
Tony G's missed. Daniel's going to fire with top 2.
Bets 5,500.
Tony G knows Negreanu would bet this flop even if he had nothing. But he decides not to go for a semi-bluff raise, and instead, he floats, letting Daniel tell his tale while he quietly waits for something on the turn.
Tony has 2 overcards, even though they're no good. He's really only looking for a 10 to make a gut shot.
There it is.
Tony G tries to keep a poker face as he just hit his straight. He knows Daniel Negreanu is the best of all time at reading people. This is a critical moment to let Daniel continue building the pot. He checks, letting Daniel think 2-pair is the best hand here. Tony is in total control right now, patiently waiting for the right time to make his next raise get called.
Daniel bets 14 grand. A raise to 50,000 by Tony G.
A quick raise of 50,000. Tony's the kind of player that could be doing this with a worse 2-pair. He could be doing it with a draw. He could be doing it with flat out nothing, but a raise that big, that fast, usually means only one of 2 things, a monster hand or a monster bluff.
Daniel makes the call.
Tony using his hand to keep his mouth closed because it's probably watering right now.
The river gives Daniel a full house.
These two have been playing against each other at the highest level for 3 decades.
Tony checks.
Negreanu knows Tony has a straight, as you will see in his prediction at the end. He's not worried about being beaten here. He's just doing the math now. What's the number Tony G can't resist calling here?
Bet 80.
Negreanu makes it 80,000 to go. Snap call from Tony.
Negreanu shows him the bad news, hands him the keys of the city.
You had ace king.
Yep. Well done, Daniel. Well done.
Played it good.
Nice dealer.
Sorry, Tony, you played it good.
Daniel Negreanu is looking down at 6-5 offsuit, but he's up against his nemesis of 20 years, Phil Ivey, who's holding King Jack suited. Ivey raises to 75,000. Most players would probably fold in Daniel's spot.
No choice, can't fold it. Gotta see a flop in the big blind.
There's the call. So it's Daniel versus Phil.
Ivey is 64% favorite for now, but the flop comes 8-6-6 and Negreanu hits trips.
8 hearts. I don't see Phil falling for this.
Phil checks too. I don't know how, but he can somehow feel Daniel is strong here.
A king on the turn.
Now I see him falling for it a little.
Negreanu wants Phil second-guessing every assumption. Wants him trapped between is he bluffing and is he setting me up? What looks like hesitation is actually misdirection. This is less about cards, more about control.
Daniel leads. Phil now with top pair.
Even if you think Daniel has a 6, you can't just go folding top pair.
Negreanu's sizing here leaves Ivey about 3.5 to 1 on a call. And with top pair, that's usually a no-brainer. But what Daniel's really doing here is laying the groundwork for the river. He's planting the seed that says, if you call now, you're going to have to call big later. This is psychological compounding. Pressure applied in stages. Daniel is hoping that Phil did indeed hit that king on the turn, and he's going to try to make him sweat like a maniac.
He calls. The river is a jack.
Wow, Daniel is running better than Prefontaine.
Daniel value bets his trips. Phil forced to call with top 2.
Nope.
So obvious you have a 6. Got 350.
Trip 6s. Phil shows King Jack for top 2. Daniel's trip 6s take 5.
Good call, good call. Good thing you didn't raise. That was smart. You know what you're doing.
Brittany is looking down at 8-6 offsuit. She and these 7 bad boys have all limped pre-flop. The flop comes 6-3-8 rainbow. And just like that, Brittany's 8-6 off turns into a sleeper hit. 2-pair on a board that's dry but sneaky. With all these limpers, someone could easily be chasing a straight. Peter leads out for $500 with top pair top kicker, but Brittany bumps it to $2,200 with top 2-pair. And suddenly, this hand goes from a stroll to a sprint. Dr. H says no more discounts and ships it for his all-in, which is just $3,700. With just middle pair and backdoor draws in an 8-way pot, it's a very bold move, especially into a raise and a bet. Kind of feels like a tilt play, to be honest.
Please call. All right, I take it back. Now you can raise. You cannot raise. Just barely.
No one raises to Dr. H's all-in, which suggests everyone is sitting on some kind of draw. The 8 of spades hits the turn, and suddenly, this table turns into a minefield. Brittany's rocking the full house, 8s over 6s. But Mike X just quietly leveled up with 3s full of 8s. 2 full houses on the same board, and neither one knows they're in a slow-motion car crash.
River will be an 8.
Peter checks, probably thinking he's still ahead with trip 8s. But what he doesn't know is that he's not just behind. He's in 3rd place on his own highlight reel. Everyone looks relaxed on the outside, but this turn card just started a quiet war. Mike X checks and attempts to slow play a full house, not knowing the innocent girl next to him is holding a stronger full house. She bets $5,000, hoping Peter and Mike X have exactly what they have. Peter just calls, taking his time and hoping to gather some extra clues from Mike X's next move. He's not ready to commit fully yet, but he's definitely keeping his eyes peeled. Mike X is counting his chips, calculating the value of that full house. Then, with a deep breath, he raises to $15,000, thinking it's a value bet. But Brittany isn't backing down. In an instant, she fires back with an all-in for $25,000. Peter takes a long pause. After about 3 minutes of intense thought, he finally folds his trip 8s, recognizing that his hand just isn't good enough. It's a tough fold, but it is the right one. Mike X calls and Brittany quickly flips over her cards, showing him the nasty cooler. Now, it's all up to the river.
Twice we've seen people go broke in limp pots.